Good morning and welcome back to Coffee Break.
As all of you know, February is Black History Month, and today we're going to be celebrating by discussing some of our titles on our backlist.
Today we're going to share 4 books, all that have a religious element, and then later in the month we'll share 4 more that don't necessarily.
So religion, specifically Christianity, has been a really important component in the quest for civil rights and social equality. And I actually really like how Carol Boston Weatherford explains it in the Beatitudes. She has an intro at the beginning, and she says, African Americans drew on their faith during the segregation era. When the masses rose up against racial oppression during the civil rights movement, they were emboldened by a belief in a just and compassionate God. They trusted that God was with them and that He would set them free. So, and I think that really comes across in this book. Like, what I like about it is that it sort of spans a good section of American history.
Yeah.
So it goes from, like, slavery in the Middle Passage and everything, and it goes all the way to Obama being sworn in as president. So, you know, it covers a lot, but you really have that thread of, like, faith and determination kind of leading you through all of these hardships.
Yeah.
That I think is really nice. That's a nice thread that kind of connects all of the history.
Yeah, it's a great just kind of overview introduction of the Black American history and all of the various movements involved in that.
Right.
Unfortunately, even though religion played a powerful role in overcoming racial oppression, religion was not immune to racism. During the Civil Rights Movement, white Christians also left Black churches and Black communities and segregated themselves. So even today, our churches are very segregated, which is why I think a book like Come Sunday is very important. It's just a simple story about a girl going to church with her family, and it's a traditional Baptist church from what I can tell about it. And I think as a white Christian, it's really important for me to see this story and read about it because I can see the many differences between this church and my church and the things that I'm missing out on from not going to a diverse church. But I can also see so many similarities and how we're still all one Christian community and maybe someday we can be united. One of the differences, for example, are, so this page is talking about, it's just one of the examples of so much movement that happens in traditionally Black churches and coming into the church with dancing and song, and that's just something that doesn't happen in my white Dutch CRC church.
It would be fun if it did.
It would be fun, and that's something that, you know, we often talk about and we know that we're missing out on.
Yeah, this book just has, like, so much joy, you
Yes,
know?
yeah. But one thing that I really related to and felt similar is, so this is our main character in Sunday school, and they're asked what their favorite character in the Bible is, and she immediately raises her hand and says, Esther. And I was
my
like,
favorite too.
Me too.
She was
For
the coolest.
For the same reason, she says, that's easy. I like Esther because she's brave and she's smart and she's a girl, and I'm all of that too. Just ask God, He'll tell you. And I just feel like, yeah.
Right?
There's the connection for me.
Nice.
So in a similar vein, that I can see connection through the Christian community, even though we sit separated, is the Lord's Prayer. Obviously, the Lord's Prayer itself is not racist. It has existed millennia before American racism. And so the text of this book, which is just the Lord's Prayer, is kind of the common thread for me, right? This is something that is universal. I think the main reason, though, that we're including this book today is that it's a good example of what I'm going to call quiet representation. I think to truly have diverse books, we need to have diverse characters representing, like, bold, passionate, this is why we need change, but we also need kind of more normal, average day in the city. You know, this isn't a book about race, it's a book about a family that happens to be Black.
Right. Like, I mean, it's good to have, like, you know, culturally specific, diverse books, but it's also good to just have, you know, a normal, everyday setting with, you know, characters who just happen to be different races or different sexualities.
Otherwise, it will never feel normal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this kind of reminds me of A Snowy Day.
Yeah.
How the kid in that book just happens to be black, and he was one
Right.
of the, I guess I don't know this for sure, but I think it was very early black representation in children's books, and it wasn't a big deal because it was just, that's how it happened to be, and that's why it was revolutionary.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing with this illustrated version of the 23rd Psalm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's got an urban setting, but, you know, the characters just so happen to be black, but
Right.
they could very easily not be. But I really like this book because, like, you know, you think of the 23rd Psalm, and I think oftentimes it gets associated with, like, funerals
Mhm.
or, you know, like, comforting the mourning and everything like
Mhm.
that.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Exactly. But I like that it's just like a normal average school day, you know, this shows everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it just really beautifully kind of illustrates this oasis of like love and family and faith in the midst of this like, you know, urban setting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that this is a very traditional text in the midst of a modern setting
Mhm.
shows that like faith is still like a really big component in our culture even today.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, later this month we're going to be sharing another group of books for Black History Month, and those 4 will be more about the historical experiences of African Americans.
Yeah, in the meantime, let us know in the comments or on Twitter if you have any favorite reads for Black History Month. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.